In 1917, in a quiet Portuguese village, three children claimed to witness a series of divine apparitions, delivering messages of prophecy and peace. What followed was an event witnessed by tens of thousands, a dazzling, impossible spectacle in the sky that defied all scientific explanation. This week, we are unraveling the profound and enigmatic mysteries and startling claims surrounding the miracle of Fatima. Tonight on Newsworthy, two words and two question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. Two words and two question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. Buying your first home can be overwhelming, but here are 5 tips to make the process go smoother. Number one, find a lender, me, Ed Locke, that can answer any questions you might have and help you get pre approved. There are multiple options available based on your situation. Number two, work with a real estate agent you can trust. Number three, don't rush the process, take your time, and know that the process could take some time. Number four, consider all the costs. Number five, get a home inspection and review it with your realtor. Keep these tips in mind, budget for yourself, and you'll be that much closer to making your dream of homeownership a reality. So reach out to me at 502-680-0953. NMLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, NMLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is an equal housing opportunity.
Yes, even with that being gone today.
Still your
Woo!
favorite part.
Absolutely. Let's get pumped. Let's do it. Welcome to
Absolutely.
Newsworthy. Two words, two question marks. I'm Steve.
And I'm Jerry.
We are glad that you are joining with us tonight. We've got so many awesome things coming up and coming on to the program. We've got a slew of amazing guests over the next couple of months, Jerry.
That we do. A ton of people that we met at a recent event we went to, uh, as well as people from the, what is that link?
It's a website that connects podcasts with guests that are like minded.
There you go.
We've got at least three award-winning art authors
Awesome.
coming on the program,
Very nice.
all involving. We're going to be covering topics like energy and not energy like the kind that moves your car down the road, the kind that you are. We have people who have had ghost stories or ghost encounters. There's such a plethora of things that fit right into our mysterious, macabre, out of this world themes that
Absolutely.
we are stoked to have these folks come on. We're going to have all new encounters episodes, not to mention our regular show on Wednesdays. Um, I'm stoked.
Absolutely. A lot to
Also,
be talked about.
another big thing that we kind of just kind of fell off last week. We didn't even really make a huge announcement about it, but if you want some great content, be sure to go to newsworthywithstevenjerry.com. We have a website now.
Yes, we do.
It's a great place if you have a story that you'd like to share with us to reach out. There's a contact us button. It sends the email straight to me and Jerry. We'll see it instantly. So if
I
you
was
go ahead.
I was thinking while listening to Ed Locke's ad, our listeners have heard his voice forever. Guys, we're not saying this because he is a supporter of our podcast. We're saying it because he's a friend of Steve's for years before we were doing a podcast. I got to know him during the podcast. He's an exceptionally good guy. If you're ever interested in a mortgage, at the bottom of every single page on our website, it's got his card. If you click on his card, it'll take you to his full biography page. There's a QR code there you can scan. Will take you to his site at USA Mortgage. An exceptionally good guy that we would highly recommend to our own family and have.
And
It shows you how much how much faith we have in Mr. Locke.
here's the thing: Ed is licensed in 3 states to do mortgages. Loves working in all 3 states. Not only that,
Sorry, what are those 3 states?
Kentucky, Tennessee, and Florida.
There you go.
And you know, as Jerry said, he has made loans for my family, and as a realtor, for me to be able to put the faith of my family into a loan officer, that should talk spades.
It does.
And he's excellent. And if you ever need anything, here's the catch. And here's the thing that Ed will do that 90% of other loan officers won't bother with. Let's say that you're interested in buying a house, and the first step for that is getting pre-approved. Say you're not ready yet. There's a ding here, or your debt to income ratio is off a little bit. Ed will take the time to tell you not only what you need to fix, but how to fix it, and the timeline with which to do it, so that we can get you into a house that much faster.
Yep.
So you're not wasting your time spending to try to navigate credit and how to fix things once things have slipped a little bit by yourself is unbelievably difficult. So it's great to have a person like Ed who will take the time with first-time home buyers, multiple-time home buyers who may have slipped in their credit a little bit. He will work out a plan so that when you're ready, then we can go for it. So you won't see that in a lot. USA Mortgage is great, and Ed Locke's the absolute best with that.
Yes, he is.
Good kudos, Jerry. Tonight, we have a really great subject. I'm excited. It's a little creepy. I believe it has connotations for the world today.
I agree.
And I'll bring that up as to why. But one of the things, Jerry, I bet you didn't understand or didn't know was that I was recently involved with a research organization that helped. We have bioengineered feet on dolphins.
You're right. I had no idea of that.
It was a lot of work. You know, I love Florida, love hanging out down
Sure.
there. It was a lot of work, but we got it done. And PETA has gone crazy.
Surely not.
And we tried to tell them, you know, we could undo our work, but it would defeat the purpose.
Defeat the purpose. I see what you did there. I really
I
do.
got Jerry to laugh. Woo!
That was such a good dad joke. It is just so funny. So funny. The perfect dad joke if ever I did one. Much better than that.
Yeah, I got Jerry to laugh. That needed to laugh for sure.
I should have waited until by the way, Mr. Black's not here today. When did he tell us he was
He was getting his fix. He's scared. I don't know what that is, but
I said William done my joking, but it's here. He knows that's the ultimate party. I don't know if I told you, but I can tolerate algebra, maybe even a bit of calculus. But geometry is where I draw the line.
that's
That's a good joke right there.
that joke is so
That's a good.
obtuse.
Yeah, yes, it is. Good comeback. Yes, it is. Very good comeback.
It's nothing like me being acute at all. I'm just saying.
Cute. One thing you've never been accused of,
Rude.
but true.
No, that was a good joke. Actually, I liked it. I like geometry jokes. Geometry was my favorite math subject.
Really.
Yeah. It was the one that made the most sense to me. And I
It is
don't
very
know.
logical. You go from step one. A big part of it's the proofs, right? You have
Yeah.
to prove them, and you go from step one to down to the final proof.
I had a teacher multiple times. I was in a small high school, so you had the same teacher for multiple classes. Mr. Smalley was my math teacher, and I struggled mightily in algebra. Struggled mightily in most math. I'm just, people are either math brains or they're not. I am not. And it took forever of him just banging his head against the wall and banging my head against the wall to figure out that all he had to do to make me understand math was put a dollar sign in front of it. Now we're talking money. Now it's tangible. Now I can do it.
Makes sense in algebra, not so much in geometry.
Well, geometry, I didn't have issues. Never had issues
There
with
you go.
geometry. But anyway,
Didn't need the dollar signs for that one, huh?
no, just the algebra. I struggle. And then to get a job where I use math, I don't do it anymore, thank goodness. But when I was a tanker driver, we use math all the time.
Sure.
Fills and how much it weighs and how much, all kinds of stuff. Don't have to worry with that anymore. Thank goodness.
You use math, to me, in my humble opinion, more in real life than most subjects that we were ever taught. English you use, obviously, every time you open your mouth or write an email or whatever. You have to know English and be halfway proficient at it, and be grammatically correct, at least to some degree, to speak, to have a conversation, to write emails, whatever. But next to that would be math. Those two you're going to use throughout your life. I don't care if you're a farmer. I don't care if you're a truck driver. I don't care what you do. You're going to use those two a lot.
Yeah. And some people aren't going to use different math. You know what we are definitely not going to use a lot in real life? The what was that called? The recorder. Everybody had to buy one. It was like $24. It's like a little
Musical
flute
instrument?
thing. Yeah. Why? Why would you spend a whole semester at school learning that
I never bought
stupid thing?
one. We had a class where there was we had a music class early on. I'm talking third, fourth, fifth grade.
Oh.
And she had 6, 7, or 8 of them, and you take turns. I never bought one.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Thankfully.
I don't know why they do that. And now as a realtor, I think they should definitely take that away and make an entire semester about money, personal finance, credit.
That needs to be in high school.
You ain't
Probably the
kidding.
last 2 years.
Absolutely.
I think it needs to be a whole year of
Yeah.
required. There's a bunch of things that every kid graduating from high school, getting ready to go into real life, needs to know, whether it's balancing your checkbook.
How about just a small sliver of actually letting them understand what student loans will do to you
Sure.
over the course of your life?
A big part of that class would be financial.
Yeah.
Part of it needs to be home ec. How many kids graduate from high school and don't know how to make a fried bologna sandwich?
To me, that's on their parents. I get it.
All this is on their parents. You're
I
telling me
get that.
finances are not on the
No, I
parents?
get
It
it.
should be.
It should be,
The
but
point is, it's not.
well, they can eat at McDonald's, but if their checkbook's negative 16, they can't.
What you just said reminded me something. I had a 8th grade science teacher. Her name was Beverly Michaels. God bless her soul. She's still alive. Just a great, fantastic lady. She did a 6-week series on sex education. I'll never forget the way she started it. She started it by saying this: we're going to spend the next 6 weeks discussing something I should never have to teach. It's sex education. Your parents should teach it, but they don't. Your churches should teach it, because if there's not moral implications in this, I don't know what there's moral implications in, but churches won't touch it.
Right.
The only reason I'm going to teach it is because no one else will. And I don't want you guys to learn everything you know from the foul mouth, dirty mouth, potty mouth kid.
Yep.
What a great way. But it's so true. You
Mhm.
mentioned parents should teach home ec. Parents should teach a lot of things that
Oh,
they don't.
Dude, we are doing such an injustice to our children today.
In so many ways.
COVID did a lot of that. COVID was a huge step backward for our
It sucked as
education
parents.
system.
Oh, I thought you were talking about parents.
Well, I mean, overall education, COVID went a huge step back. If we had great parents, that wouldn't have mattered
We
because now they could have excelled. They didn't. I
We had
mean,
bad parents, and during COVID we had nothing, right?
right? We had tablets.
Pretty much. And not only that, I think our teachers overall, most of them try to do a
They-
decent job. They weren't
teacher-
prepared for this. They weren't prepared to go
Dude.
to remote learning.
Teachers are, first of all, and I don't know how every state's different. In Kentucky, if you're hired as a teacher, at some point within the first 2 years, you have to get your master's. Have to. Do they pay for it? No. You have to pay for it. Do
I think
they
pay a
read?
portion of it, I believe.
I don't think so.
I think so.
And even if they do, when you achieve that, do you get a raise because of it? No.
Yes, you do.
No, it's not true.
What do you want to bet?
I can just tell you, I've talked to several
Well,
teachers that that's
here,
the case. That
maybe
that's
not
the
directly,
case.
but here is what happens indirectly. You're required to get that plus a couple of other things entitles you to go to rank 1. With rank 1, there's a huge pay increase.
Maybe.
I guarantee you.
Well, I don't.
And it's one
I'm
of
not
the
denouncing it.
there's
I'm
2 or
just
3
saying.
prerequisites. That's not the only one. So it doesn't directly by itself give you the raise.
And even as a teacher with a master's, rank 1, you're still one of the lowest paid professionals in the United States.
In Kentucky, which is, I think, ranks number 42. The last I heard is first teacher pay. So that's part of the problem. There's some states that do pay decent. Kentucky is not one of them.
Yeah, but the states that pay decent, they have to, because otherwise no one would go into that war zone. I mean, let's just be honest. And
That's part of the problem. The way we treat them, the way we don't back them up and give them support. We let kids run all over them.
Absolutely. You watch any video on X or YouTube about what a real classroom looks like today in a normal, no way. You couldn't pay me $1 million to put up with some of them snot-nosed brats, because that's not how I raised my children. That's not how I was raised. And I don't know that I would last much more than a week.
I agree.
Kudos
me
to all
both.
those teachers out there.
You and me both. You know what amazes me sometimes?
What?
You and I totally digress here. You and I will, no, not your face.
Oh.
No, not at all. You and I will sit sometimes and discuss a show beforehand, and we'll be like, do we have enough information to make this a 30, 35, 40-minute episode? Next thing you know, we started an episode and we look down and we're 35 minutes into it. We haven't even got to the topic.
Yeah, and we really have to do better.
We
about
do.
that. We probably should actually start this episode over. To be real honest about everything.
No.
But we're not,
We're not.
because we're on a time schedule today, because we got big news next week.
Yes, we do.
You'll find out all about that next week. So we need to get busy and get down into it. Tonight, we're talking about Fatima or Fatima. I'll let you decide how you want to say it, but we've checked with several AIs. The AI says it's Fatima.
But they also say that it can be pronounced and is pronounced both ways.
Yes. So
Most common is Fatima.
I'm comfortable with Fatima. You're comfortable with Fatima. So let's talk about Fatima. So picture this. It's May 13th, 1917, in the Cova del Ira, a rocky pasture land near the village of Fatima, Portugal. 3 kids, Lucia, just 10 years old, and her cousins, Francisco, 8, and how do you say it, Jacinta?
I think so.
Jacinta was 6. They are tending the family sheep. Now, kids in Portugal who were sheep herders, probably the lowest of the low, to be blunt. I mean, as far as the economic standpoint, there's not much below that level of poverty.
Sure.
That's important later, I believe. These aren't city kids with books or toys. They're literally illiterate shepherds raised in devout Catholic family in a country where the church is under fire. Portugal's new Republican government has been cracking down on religion since the 1910 revolution, closing churches and jailing priests. It's been a tense time since World War I had been raging across Europe, claiming millions of lives. By June, well, let me go back here. Sorry. On this ordinary spring day, something extraordinary happens. The kids later say they saw a flash of light, and then above a small oak tree, a woman appeared, dressed in white, glowing brighter than the sun, and she calls herself the Lady of the Rosary and tells them to come back on the 13th day of every month. Her message? Simple. Pray the rosary daily, make sacrifices for sinners, and repent to save the world from the worst calamities. The kids are stunned, but obedient. They tell their families, and word spreads like wildfire. Wildfire, not flower. By June, a dozen curious locals join the kids at the Cova. By July, it's hundreds. The lady keeps appearing to the children, sharing visions of what will later be called the 3 secrets of Fatima. The first is a terrifying glimpse of hell. Can you imagine being a child of any age, and the very first miracle, the very first thing this lady shows you is a glimpse of hell?
Pretty scary, huh?
Pretty darn scary. Whew. The second predicts the end of the Great War, but warns of a worse one if humanity doesn't change its ways. It also asks for Russia to be consecrated to Mary's Immaculate Heart to prevent its errors from spreading. Prophetic words, considering the Bolshevik Revolution is simply months away. Crazy, right, Jerry?
Very much so.
The third secret? Well, guess what? That's still a mystery. Kept hidden by Lucia, the only child that speaks directly with the Virgin. But the lady promises something big for October 13th, a miracle so that all will believe. The kids face skepticism, even hostility. The local mayor, a staunch anti-cleric, arrests them in August. Arrest children in August, interrogating them in a jail cell and threatening to boil them in oil if they didn't confess to lying. But Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, barely out of diapers, stand firm. How many people in today's world would stand firm
Very few.
in half of this
Sure.
right now? I can't
Very
think,
few.
I can think of maybe 5 on my hand. And, you know, we all would like to think that we would, but in a very real world where you're being threatened to be boiled in oil,
Well, look at the Apostle Paul. What happened at the crucifixion of Christ when he was threatened? 3 times he denied Christ.
yeah.
3
And he
times.
knew him. He saw. I mean,
Worked with him side by side was the apostle, the man who wrote more of the New Testament than any other person by far, denied Christ 3 times.
even barely out of diapers, Jacinta would not recant. It's crazy. By October 13th, 1975, that was a great year, by the way. By October 13th, 1917, the Khedive Daira is packed. That's the area where this tree is. Some estimates between 30 to 100,000 people of devout pilgrims have arrived. Skeptical journalists, it's been raining all morning. The ground is a muddy mess. The kids arrive, and Lucia calls for everyone to close their umbrellas. Then at noon, the clouds part, the crowd gasps, and the sun, witnesses say, begins to dance. It spins, it zigzags, it shoots out colors, red, blue, gold. Some swear it plunges toward earth and then snaps back. Clothes and mud, soaked moments before, are now bone dry. Secular papers like the O Secula report the event, with one journalist writing, "The sun trembled and made sudden but incredible movements. An absolute true miracle." But not everyone sees the same thing. Some in nearby towns report nothing unusual. Skeptics later suggest it was a sundog, a rare atmospheric effect, or even mass hysteria. The crowd swept up in religious fervor. Still, the sheer number of witnesses, including non-believers, makes the miracle of the sun one of the most documented supernatural events in history. What do you think, Jerry?
I think something very weird, very strange happened.
Absolutely, dude.
That I'm not totally convinced that it was a miracle. I would understand and can't blame people and can't give logical proof, which is what I like to do if I disagree with something, that you're wrong if you believe that. But there are doubters, even within the Catholic Church. Yeah. Were you through with your part?
Yeah. I think I set it up pretty darn good.
No, you did. You did. Absolutely.
Listen, I just there's a few things I want to point on. First of all, these are three kids of the lowest caste basically in society, other than just, rabble. You know, they did have jobs, their families did have jobs. So they were one step above nothing, basically. They were illiterate, they didn't read, they didn't write. They couldn't make this happen. And being given their ages, I don't imagine with their workload and the parents, this isn't a time. We're talking in the middle of World War I. This isn't a time that people's imaginations got the best of them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The thing that I want to bring up after you're done, and don't let me forget,
Okay.
is if what would we do today if a true miracle happened? And I do believe miracles happen every day. Very what I like to call miracles. This isn't a micro miracle. This is a hey, if you bring as many people, I'm going to show you something special.
I
So
think large miracles happen very
probably,
often that much of the world turns a blind eye to. And I
probably
think the
right.
nation of Israel is one of the largest examples of that. We'll get into that later.
Sure, sure.
Yes, Stephen did a great job of telling the background uh, of Fatima, the story of the three shepherd children, their encounters with the Virgin Mary. He went through the facts and a lot of the eyewitness testimonies, uh, the profound impacts of those events in 1917. But like any phenomenon that touches the realm of the miraculous, Fatima is not without its shadows. Today, we confront the heart of the matter for many, the critical analysis, the controversies, some of the deep well of skepticism that surrounds this powerful narrative. Was it really a divine miracle? Or was it a masterwork of mass psychology and atmospheric anomaly, as some of the critics suggest? We're about to delve into the differing interpretations and arguments that challenge the supernatural claims, particularly the enduring mystery of the third secret. Now, perhaps no aspect of Fatima or Fatima has generated more intrigue, speculation, and absolute outright controversy than the so called third secret. For decades, it was a locked away secret. They didn't say anything about it for many years. It was, well, they did, but only to the high people in the Catholic Church. It was revealed to popes. It was whispered about in hushed tones. Obviously, it was speculated upon by millions. Now, the first two parts of the secret, as Steve told you, essentially a vision of hell and a prophecy about World War II, the spread of communism, the persecution of the church, those were revealed very early. But the third part, committed to paper by Sister Lucia, the last surviving of the three missionary or the visionaries, and she did that in 1944. The third part remained hidden. The Vatican guarded it closely. Initially, they promised to reveal it by 1960. Then they delayed, which fueled even more global speculation. People were wondering, was it about nuclear war, the end of the world, a devastating prophecy of the church itself? The long delay for many was a powerful confirmation that its contents must be truly cataclysmic or at least deeply uncomfortable. Now, when the Vatican finally published the third secret in 2000, they presented it as a symbolic vision of the Pope and other clergy being martyred and interpreted it as a prophecy that had already been fulfilled by the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II in 1981. Now, the version that they come out with was met with a mix of relief by some, profound disappointment by many. For many ardent devotees of the Fatima and conspiracy theorists, this was not the full truth. They argued that the published text was incomplete, that a more profound, perhaps darker message about a crisis of faith within the church or even a third war was still being withheld. The perceived simplicity of what they revealed seemed insufficient to justify decades of Vatican secrecy. And I would absolutely agree. If that's all the third secrecy was, why did you keep it a secret from 1917 until 2000? They had originally said by 1960, we will reveal it. It took an additional 40 years beyond that for them to come out with their explanation. Critics point to phrases attributed to Sister Lucia in other contexts, hinting at a more explicit and terrifying vision of a bad council or a final battle. Conspiracy theories suggest that it predicts global catastrophe, possibly even UFO contact. Even Pope Benedict the 16th hinted that the third secret might symbolize internal church corruption rather than literal events. Now, for believers, the events at Fatima are undeniably supernatural in origin. The direct intervention from God, conveyed through the Virgin Mary, offering profound spiritual warnings and a path to salvation. The sheer number of witnesses to the miracle of sun is often cited as irrefutable proof of its divine nature. You and I talked before we got started. We wish Brett could have been here. He's a big believer in this. We certainly wish that Brett could always be here, but especially for this one. This is one that he had expressed great interest, and I wish he could have been here to help us. I'm sure Brett always does a great job in research, and a couple of times he's convinced you and I to change sides and things that we had researched and discussed before. I can't help but wonder if he wouldn't have done that even more so with this one. Skeptics propose a range of psychological and possibly sociological explanations. The context of 1917 was very crucial. Portugal was in political turmoil, deeply religious, obviously embroiled in World War I, which had brought immense suffering. This was a population desperate for hope, for divine intervention, for a sign. In such an environment, the power of suggestion, even mass hysteria or collective hallucination, could play a significant role. If a charismatic figure, even children in their innocent conviction, declares a phenomenon will occur and a crowd is primed to expect it, psychological factors can profoundly influence perception. People might see what they desperately want to see or what they are told to expect. And what about the centerpiece of the phenomenon, the miracle of the sun itself? While thousands reportedly witnessed extraordinary solar activity, no scientific observation post or astronomical observatories in the region or indeed in the entire world reported any unusual solar behavior on that day. This critical absence of independent, verifiable data is a significant red flag for scientific analysis and for many of the Fatima critics.
I have a question.
Sure.
If it were a miracle designed for the people who were there, people in the next county probably wouldn't have seen it, right?
100% correct. Now, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When you say miracle, you're talking about a miracle from God, correct? Why would God design a miracle he only wanted people in one county to see?
Only because that's the people who came. Because God, and that's a good question, but here's how I would counter that. Here's how I would answer that. The only thing God ever requires of us, that ever wants from us, more than anything else, yes, there's lots of things, but the one thing that God wants from us, in my humble opinion, more than
The
anything,
initial thing.
is relationship.
Okay. Now, where I thought you was going.
These people came for that relationship. They came to see what he had to do, what was going on with God at this place. If you were in the other county and you had heard and you didn't come, then he doesn't have that for you today, because this is about the people that were there for that relationship. That's where I
So
would
if you had a
counter that.
job that wouldn't allow you to come, you're just out of luck.
I look.
I thought you
Sometimes
were
that
going to say
happens.
faith instead of relationship.
Well, I mean, that to me, the relationship is built out of that faith. Why would you have a relationship with something you didn't have faith in? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I do. Skeptics propose that several optical or even atmospheric phenomena that could explain the various effects reported by witnesses. One of the first that Steve mentioned is the parhelion, or the sundog illusion, which is a common atmospheric optical phenomenon which is caused by ice crystals in the air, which creates bright spots or arcs of light, sometimes appearing as multiple suns.
but
Excuse
here's
me.
the thing.
Sure.
It still comes down to timing. Okay, maybe that's an answer. I get it. However, why the coincidence? And you're a person who doesn't believe much in coincidence. The coincidence of that happening at this very particular time is slim to none. And I think Slim's on a Carnival cruise.
Think so. Most of the ones I saw wouldn't be costly anyway. Another possible reason given is lenticular clouds or atmospheric refraction, which can cause the sun to appear distorted, change colors, or even seem to dance. After images from staring at the sun, many accounts describe people staring directly at the sun, often for long periods of time. We know that this can cause temporary retinal damage, leading to visual distortions right after images and perceived movement in the light. The spinning or zigzagging effect could be a result of these physiological responses. Another one that I have trouble reading with a straight face, possible explanation is the drying of clothes. Some argue that this could be a trick. By the way, that means that many of the people, apparently there was at least one rain shower.
It
A
rained
bunch of
enough
the people-
for this whole area to be muddy.
A bunch of the people claim that their clothes were suddenly, almost immediately dried. That was one of their claims. Some argue that this could be attributed to a strong sudden wind or even the excitement of the crowd rather than a
Ooh.
miraculous heat source.
The excitement of the crowd is going to
Yeah.
dry out your clothes.
Yeah, I'm sure we're all common to that happening.
Well, I'm glad to know that. I'm going to take all my wet clothes with us next week, and
There
I'll
you go.
let the excitement of the crowd there
Dry
just
those clothes.
that way I can save on my electric bill.
Exactly. Why pay for a dryer to dry them?
Right.
This one makes a ton of sense to me. Furthermore, it's important to remember that not nearly everyone present reported the same thing or even anything at all. There were huge discrepancies in the eyewitness accounts, which is also often very common in large emotionally charged events. But it does complicate the case of a singular, undeniable miracle. There was no universal, consistent observation of the sun falling or dancing that would be expected. What you had was different people describing very erratic, unusual movements that they noticed. But those explanations were vastly different. Another thing that bothers me a little bit, there is still quite a bit of dispute within the Roman Catholic Church as to what happened and whether it was even a miracle. Jesuit Father Edward Donis, a highly influential theologian and prominent figure in the Catholic Church's critical examination of this event, was very critical of the supernatural claims, particularly of different claims, particularly in the miracle of the sun. He strongly argued that the miracle of the sun could be explained by natural phenomena, primarily by mass hallucination, collective suggestion, or known optical illusions,
Let me-
like
let
perhelion
me-
or sundogs.
Let me just throw something out there.
Sure.
From a gosh, this sounds so sacrilegious. Some could say,
Okay.
who in the non-religion crowd, okay, that most of all religion is mass hallucination. Just want to throw it out there. Secondly,
Some in the non-religion crowd, we're talking about a Catholic priest, a
I
Jesuit
understand.
priest.
Well, it just brings me to
So
my
he's not the
second point.
non-religious crowd.
Brings me to my second
Okay.
point, which is the Catholic Church has long covered up things, anything that it doesn't understand, doesn't know, or doesn't know how to manipulate to benefit the Catholic Church. And I'm not saying, if I would say this if Brett was here, this has nothing to do with the average Catholic person. It has to do
But
with
this
the-
doesn't fit that scenario.
well, if
This is the opposite.
what I'm saying is if the third miracle, the third issue that has
The
not
third secret.
the third secret hasn't been revealed.
No, it has been. It was in 2000. Catholic Church in 2000 revealed it.
Did they though?
Well, it's, yes, some say it may not have been, but
Exactly.
they say they did.
Well, I understand. And we can talk all day long about what people say and what people do and if it's true or if it's not. But what I'm saying is there are some in the conspiracy theory groups that treat the Catholic Church hierarchy much like they do our own government. They don't buy anything that they're selling. Just all I'm saying.
But I don't know how this relates to a guy that was not in the top hierarchy, but was simply bucking the top hierarchy
Well,
and
there-
saying it doesn't add up.
it's the same reason that you would have a spokesman for someone in that hierarchy that control your paycheck, that control your advancement, that controls your career.
So
and
why
your,
would someone under him go against what that guy's saying?
No, he wouldn't.
That's what this guy's doing.
Exactly. He's trying to put it to bed to make it go away. That's all I'm saying.
But I think you're missing the point that this whole thing drastically helps the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church has benefited usually from it.
Unless the third secret truly is
Is-
negative toward the Catholic Church.
Could be.
That's all I'm saying.
And there's a lot of evidence, including which one? Let me go back. One of the popes hinted at that.
Exactly. Being, the scandals that have rocked the church lately. And listen, I'm not anti-Catholic. I love all people. And if you're Catholic, I love you too.
Pope Benedict the XVI 16th.
Yeah.
Pope Benedict the 16th hinted the third secret possibly could symbolize internal church corruption. And that's one of the good things is at least we have some people, some of the top guys, Pope
That's all I was saying.
Benedict himself, that was saying, guys, this is possibly what it's
And-
alluding to.
And that same thing could be pressed upon anything, a factory, a company, a government, a church.
And any denomination. I don't want someone to
Yeah,
think
no,
we're
no.
picking
It
on
could be
Roman
the
Catholics.
Methodist. It could be, the Baptist. It doesn't matter the denomination. What matters here is if someone in power thinks that there's information that can hurt what they're in power over, they will send people out that they control to try to dissuade or discourage. Or our federal government is the worst. Dave Doty was one of the worst about that. In the alien community, he came out and said, "Yeah, no, just feeding disinformation."
I would agree with all that. I don't think it applies to this guy at all
Maybe.
because he's one of 2 or 3 people in the entire Catholic Church that has come out against it.
Okay.
So if you had the church trying to send people out to counter it, do you send 3 against 30 million?
Good point.
That's not very
I was just bringing
persuasive.
it up. It was an option. Devil's advocate.
I agree. Again, finishing on what Jesuit Father Edward Donis thought, he emphasized that no astronomical observations or scientists outside of the immediate crowd at Fatima, reported any unusual solar activity. This absence of external objective corroboration was a significant point for him. He also highlighted inconsistencies and variations in the eyewitness testimonies that we've already talked about, arguing that if it were a truly objective physical phenomena, the count should be more uniform. Some critics also point out that Lucille, the only surviving visionary, was placed in a convent and her statements were tightly controlled. She did live under religious authority for decades. So one of the questions being asked is, was she allowed to speak freely or was her message curated? The Fatima phenomenon then is a deeply layered narrative. For millions, it remains a profound testament to faith, a divine warning, and a source of spiritual guidance. The unwavering belief of Sister Lucille and the Church's endorsement provide a solid foundation for their understanding. But for many critical thinkers and skeptics, the very elements that make it miraculous for some, the prophecies, the celestial spectacle, the lack of external verification, are precisely what raise the most questions. They highlight the powerful interplay of human psychology, environmental conditions, and the profound human desire for meaning and hope in times of crisis. So, the bottom line with this is the same bottom line as almost anything religious. It's going to come down to a matter of faith. What do you believe? You were talking earlier about if God wanted to prove something to this group of people. I've heard many people say throughout my time of discussing religion with people, why didn't God give us proof to the entire world of exactly who he is, what he is? If this is truth, the Bible is true, why doesn't he make it obvious in terms that no one could dispute? And he could. If you believe in an almighty, omnipotent power, you believe that he certainly absolutely could do that. My point is that according to the Bible, that he wants us to have faith to believe in him. There's no faith if he provided incontrovertible proof to every human being.
Right.
There's no faith. There's nothing of saying, I'm going to put my faith in this person and believe in them.
Right.
Faith no longer is an issue. The Bible says that we're saved by faith. So this, I think, is no different than the issue of religion itself. It's a matter of faith and a matter of what you believe.
So, Jerry, let's start with you. More or less news coverage on Fatima?
There's too many people that told similar, not identical, but similar stories. Something happened. I don't know what it was. And I absolutely think that it deserves more news coverage.
I would 100% agree with you, Jerry. Wow, we agree on something.
How about that?
That's insane. And for me, it is all about, did the church release the true third miracle? Who knows? The actual hierarchy of the church has been under fire for a great number of years, for a great number of reasons. And we're not going to pick on the Catholic Church. Like
At
we
all.
said earlier, it could be, there's things that happen in Methodist church. There's things that happen in Baptist churches.
In all churches.
In all churches. Because churches are filled with this dirty little thing called people.
Human beings. Absolutely.
And as long as people are involved, dirty things are going to
Mistakes will
happen.
happen. By the way, I just realized that I made a mistake a minute ago.
Wait, could
that
you
I
say
need
that one
to-
more time so I can
Well, this is
record
big
that,
enough.
please?
I've got to correct it. When I said, do you remember a minute ago? I said we're saved by what?
Faith.
We're not saved by faith. Faith is something we do by ourselves. We are not saved by our own works. We are saved by grace, the grace
Right.
of God. We're saved by grace through faith.
There you
Faith
go.
is simply the vessel that gets you to His grace. Grace is and has always been the only thing that can save mankind.
And, just so you know, we'll just go ahead and throw it out there. We've been rolling around doing a semi-religious show for men, about men, to men. If you would like to hear more about that, hey, give us a call or reach out to us on our website
Send
and
us a message.
let us know. We would be encouraged to find the time to do that if we knew that there would be people ready to
Listeners.
listen. Because you're never too old to learn. You're never too young or too broken or too. And Jerry, if I may digress for just a second, I heard the best definition about coming to religion and not to religion. Religion's a thing for humans. From coming to Jesus the other day that I had never heard before in 50 years on this planet. And I was like, that makes good damn sense.
What was that?
It was, you don't take your car to a mechanic if your car has no problems, right? I mean, you do to change the oil or whatever, but you don't take your car to have the alternator replaced if the alternator is working fine. So why in the world would you wait to get everything fixed before you started to go, before you went before Jesus? There's so many people out there, and I was one of them for a great number of years. Well, I got to get my life cleaned up before I go to whatever church or to a spiritual meeting or to a whatever you want to call it, because it all leads back to the same thing. Why would you do that?
Not only that, can you do that? I heard a
I
pastor
don't
preach
think
a
you
sermon
can.
on that, and he gave what I thought was a pretty good analogy. He said, I'll tell you a better, easier, simpler way to do it. I want you to reach down and get a hold of your bootstrings and pick yourself up off the ground.
Right.
Trust me, you'll have an easier job picking yourself up off the ground with your bootstrings than you will by fixing your life without God.
Yeah. So, our show works really hard to stay pretty neutral for everything, but this show is about miracles. Fatima is about miracles. It's about, did Our Lady come to these 3 children who were illiterate and impoverished and had no following whatsoever and give them a message? So I think that gives us premise to and obligation to talk about things that are religious, and I welcome that, to be honest. So again,
I agree.
if you would be interested in hearing a whole nother show about that, please send us a message and send us a little encouragement, because time is the one thing that Jerry and I both are short on, but we would make time if there was a need for that. So, anywho, I also agree with you, Jerry. 2 thumbs up, right?
Sure.
What a
Absolutely.
freaking wonderful. How about that?
Very nice.
That was an interesting episode, but our journey isn't over yet. If you stay tuned, we have an exciting bonus story coming up after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, an intriguing ghost story, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, please get in touch with us. You can reach us via email at newsworthywithstephencherry@gmail.com or send us a text at area code 540-709-1318.
And now, back to the story. Jerry, you often love good stories about survival.
Sure.
I got a hell of a one for you today.
Nice.
On December 24th, Christmas Eve, 1971, 17-year-old Julia Kopek, we'll say, was the sole survivor of Lanza Flight 508 after the plane was struck by lightning over the Peruvian rainforest. The aircraft disintegrated midair, and Julianne, still strapped to her seat, fell nearly 10,000 feet, about 2 miles, all the way through the jungle canopy. Miraculously, she survived with only broken collarbone and a deep gash in her arm with a swollen eye.
I'll be darned.
Oh, it gets better, Jerry. Having grown up in the rainforest with her zoological parents, Julia used her knowledge to navigate the wilderness. She followed a stream for 10 days, surviving on rainwater and small scraps of candy that she had in her pocket. Her wounds, however, became infected and they drew maggots. When she finally found an abandoned boat near a shelter, she poured gasoline from the tank onto her injuries. A painful but effective method to kill all the parasites and bacteria. Eventually, she was rescued by local lumber workers who found her and brought her to safety. Out of 93 passengers and crew aboard the flight, Julianne was the only survivor, and her story remains one of the most extraordinary accounts of survival in aviation history. Today's episode brought to you by our great sponsors, Ed Locke at USA Mortgage and Smoking Gun Jerky of Lincoln, Nebraska. Use code CRYPTID10 for a great discount. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.